Hi, this is Max. Welcome to another Stoa. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to record those videos to inspire you, to guide you, and to equip you with some tools in order to live a better life, a more peaceful, a more free, and loving life, basically, yeah. Higher, higher, higher love, higher peace, freedom. I think freedom is ultimately what we're seeking. A long time ago, I wrote a blog post in French that I called Stopping Your Inner War. Our inner war. Isn't that something that we all do at times? I think we can all agree, whoever we are, whatever roles we do in life, that we do tend to get in our own way and we create inside wars that are impacting us and others. And I believe deeply that if we could do our inner work and stop that, all external wars would also stop. I'd like to talk about those inner wars a little bit more today because I've had so many observations and occasions lately to notice how people are suffering and how they're creating their own inner wars that are disturbing and destroying us ultimately, and that's sad. That's very sad. It's bringing me a lot of it's bringing me a lot of reassurance that my work is needed. That's one, but it's also very sad that people are still doing this to themselves. So, where do we start with this, right? Well, I guess that the first starting point is to recognize that in no instances, people or situations or circumstances are responsible for our well-being. That's the very start. When we point the finger at someone or something, there's always three fingers pointing at us. And that's the premise. I always start there in coaching. You got to gain that perspective for yourself that I'm going to be a little bit hard with you guys today, so bear with me, but it's all coming from a lot of love and compassion. At one point, you got to stop realizing that there's no amount of finger pointing that will make you feel better or good inside. That's just your ego hijacking you and trying to control the whole thing. If you're trying to have people or circumstances to be in a certain way so that you feel good, you're going to do that through your entire life. It's ludicrous. It's stupid. You cannot do that. It will never make you happy. So we start addressing our inner wars by this alone. I don't need any situations or people outside to be a certain way or act a certain way so that I can feel good inside. That's it. Really, that's it. We could stop right here and that would be fine. But it's a hard reality to take in and to digest. So let's dive a little bit into it. Our mind and our emotions are too often hijacking us and the way we will react to things and how we should think about what's in front of us. You can see it as a magnetic pull that's working together. It's like a very dynamic, that's big tension. It's working like this. I got something that's popping into my mind because of what the other person said, or okay, let's use very simple examples here. You're driving. I got a good one for you. You're driving, and the person behind you, that's a true story, by the way. I was driving, and the person behind me was really close to me, very close to me. it didn't bother me that much because, hey, I'm doing my thing. I'm being careful of what's in front of me, and that's it. But then I tried to change the lane, and coincidences are that the person also tried to do the same thing at the same time as I did. And don't ask me why, but that person figured that I had cut him, while I was changing lane. I wasn't, I was not even close to that, but hey, that's what happened for him at that point. Now here's why it becomes interesting. The person behind me was a guy. He got furious. I mean, he lost it completely. Started to hug me and trying to, pass me and get right next to me, which he did eventually. Pulled his window down. My window was already down. And he started giving me a bunch of crap. I mean, he completely lost it. And I wasn't too wise myself. I got pulled into this very, negative vibe and frequency, and I reacted to what he was saying to me. I was quite blunt, and I think I said something along the lines, "Why are you such a princess when I didn't cut you?" Which wasn't smart. And I mean, he was already pissed and already lost it. That just made things even worse, right? I mean, he threw his old McDonald trio at me. He started with the Big Mac, then came the fries, then came the Coke, even the Kleenex, or the napkins or everything. The bag, everything got thrown at me in my car because the guy lost it. Well, let's see it. Let's see it from both perspectives. And it's the same thing. When he pulled up to me next to me, and I replied with a, very mean and bad way, I fueled that negativity, and I just sparked even more the NOR for him. And I did the same for myself, by the way. So what could have I done differently? Well, like Viktor Frankl said, I mean, that's a man that loved the Holocaust, and maybe that's the biggest lesson that he took out of it. Life will happen, right? People, circumstances, situations will happen, and sometimes they won't be pretty, just like the story I'm relating now. Life happens. We will react in a certain way. In between there is a gap. There is a space here where we get to choose how we're going to react and act, right? How are we going to think? And that's the game we're playing. That's the crux of it all. I mean, if we can master this, how much better life could be? How much more peace and freedom and love could there be in our lives if we could become really good at mastering? Life happens, stuff gets, thrown at me. It's hard, it's challenging, I don't like it, but yet I'm going to choose to think or react in a certain way so that I don't get pulled into that negativity and in a war and just create another pattern and another, circuit in my brain to just glue and fuse with this thing again and on and on and on for the future because it's going to happen again. That's the game we're playing. So if I would have been wiser, those 15 years, 20 years ago, maybe I would have just apologized and pulled up my window and go on my way and not fuel this man with more anger, which he then rippled out to many others because then he was totally crazy and he lost it and he started, doing speeding and cutting everybody and braking. And that was dangerous for everybody after all. So choosing wisely how we're going to behave, act, say, think. We have this power. We're great beings. You're very high beings. I mean, You're the greatest thing on this planet. So why couldn't you do that? But we get sucked into our own stuff and our own ego so much that we fuse with it. And then this thing works together, right? I get an emotion or a bad thought, and they just start to be a magnet, and then you get into this vicious spin and cycle where it's very hard to get out of there. So that's it. That's really what I'm saying. If I have to sum it up, your inner wars will only happen if you let them. A situation, a person will say or do something that you'll have a hard time with. And now is the time to step back, to pause just for a little bit, instead of reacting right away and fusing with all that bad stuff. Just take a step back a little bit. Let it be the first change you're gonna make. Doesn't have to be big and huge, right? You don't have to be like, oh, Max said I don't have to react to things, and therefore the next person or situation that comes up, I'm just gonna be like Buddha and peaceful about it. Maybe you won't. That's okay. But work at it, chip out at it a little bit. Recognize the progress that you're making and the good deeds you're doing instead of fusing with all that negativity. Change is hard. That might be why most people don't go on and try to grow themselves spiritually, self-actualize, call it whatever you want. It's asking you to change, and change is something that we are resistant to. But when change becomes your friend little by little, because you want to go higher, you want to live that beautiful, meaningful, peaceful, loving life, you want to have freedom, you want to have inner peace inside, you accept the change bit by bit. And when those situations and people come up that trigger something within you, instead of going for that inner war right away, you step back and you pause for a second. And you acknowledge maybe what's going on first for you. Right? Don't fight with those emotions. They're there. They're already there. Don't fight them. But recognize them. And know that you have power. You have so much willpower in there. You're a creator. You have so much power in there that you can change that. You don't have to dwell into that bad stuff and negative emotions and bad thinking. You can decide to step into what life shows up and presents to you and how you're going to react and think and behave. There's a gap there. And you, with all your beautiful power, your creator's power, you can decide what's going to happen here and choose wisely, with love, with compassion, how to behave for yourself and others. And when you start doing this little by little, with the little changes, eventually you'll change, you'll grow, and you'll stop fighting that inner war inside. Don't shoot for enlightenment and being Buddha next morning. That's going to happen naturally. That's going to unfold for you as you do the little things. Is it going to be challenging? Yes, I'm telling you. It's going to be freaking hard. We stored those stuff in there because of our experiences and what happened to us. There might be even a little bit of trauma there, conditioning, patterns. It's stored in there. It was stored with resistance and pain. It's going to go out with resistance and pain. Trust me, I've walked that path. It's not easy, it's hard, painful, even sometimes physically. But it's so much worth it. Like I said in another video, right? What comes out of this is so beautiful. So much love, so much peace, so much tranquility, equanimity, so much passion, so much trust, so much faith, so much freedom. I mean, and on. It's beautiful, and it's worth it. So let's stop our inner war. Let's do the little change, slowly but surely. Step into that, what life and people bring you, and that response or reaction you're gonna have, or that thinking you're gonna have. Step in those two where there's that gap. Choose wisely and lovingly how you want to be, how you want to act, and see what happens. See what happens. Be the change you want to be, yeah? That's what they say. Let's do this. Let's all do this together. It's the most beautiful gift we can give ourselves and the world. Yeah? Let's stop our inner war. Stop our inner war so that we can live more freely, and more peacefully, and more lovingly. I have faith in you. Cheers to the creator in you, and thank you. If you want to chat this a little bit more, it will be my great pleasure. Reach out. We can figure out what works for you, what works for me. Live chats, coaching one-on-one, or something, on demand, where we can exchange videos and text and whatnot. A fraction of the cost of the other, but whatever works, right? I just want to be there for you, help you be the best, highest human that you can be for you and your loved ones and all the ones that you touch. All right, this was fun. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Cheers. Sending love.